Episode 8 of Transfer Talk. We're starting to clock these up pretty quickly. It's hard to believe we're 8 weeks in to this already. We've got the usual stuff to go through to today. We're going to wrap up who's been linked, who said it, where it's come from, the detail around it, whether you should believe it or not, your opinion. I'll give you my opinion, all of that stuff. And towards the end of the video, we'll kind of wrap up the more clickbaity, less believable ones that are floating around. And we've also done the checks on all the different sides of the media. So if other clubs are linked with these players, we've had a look at their side as well to see what they're saying about it, because we only ever see really the Leeds United side of things. But a good start to the transfer window for Leeds. Tariq Muharramovic has come in. I'll get the name right eventually. I'm going to struggle with it. It's the rolling R. Irish tongues are not built for that. Too many syllables. But yeah, Tariq Muharramovic has joined Leeds United. Cracking signing yesterday. Really good interview with him as well. Looks like very happy to be at Leeds United. Harry Wilson's come in as well. So all really, really good stuff. But there's one thing that is clear from all of the reports and all the rumours, even the more credible ones over the last couple of weeks, is that Leeds are being, or at least attempting to be, incredibly ambitious in this transfer window. It's not a guarantee that any of the ones they're in linked with right now end up coming through the door as well. But if they do end up coming through the door, it'll be a hell of a window for Leeds United and a really promising one heading in the next season, or this season. Now, the players fly off on Tuesday to the US for the pre-season tour. You would imagine Daniel Farke would like to have as many of the players that will form part of his first team squad in the door as possible. Leeds might be trying to speed up a couple of them right now, if reports are to be believed. But it is going to be an interesting couple of weeks ahead. Also, the under-21s are playing a pre-season friendly today, so it'll be interesting to see, do any of the loanees that returned to Leeds, the Max Verbers, Jack Harrisons, get involved in that game. But keep an eye on that one. It will likely be made public because it's not behind closed doors. The crowd they're playing, Bridlington, I think they're playing, have sold over 1,000 tickets. It might not be Bridlington. I think it's Bridlington, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll start today's transfer wrap up. There's a lot of goalkeepers and, again, defenders, because it's rumours and it's very obvious Leeds are looking at a goalkeeper and defenders, but we'll give you the detail. We'll start off with James Trafford. Right, the story so far on James Trafford, the usual bits to start with. 23 years of age, 6'3" in height, right-footed, English international goalkeeper, currently at Man City, joined them for £27 million from Burnley last year as first choice and was very quickly replaced by Gianluigi Donnarumma. The story on this now, Graham Smyth spoke in the Inside Allen Road podcast this week and said that Leeds were waiting on Trafford and that his future would likely get sorted out in the next couple of weeks. He also said the Italian media probably jumped the gun and went too early on the links to Zion Suzuki, possibly on a short list for Leeds, but not a goalkeeper they've made a move for. Trafford is said to be Leeds' number one goalkeeper target and also number one target for the entirety of this transfer window, which is saying something considering the players that have already come in and the ones that are being linked with coming in. Trafford's future is expected to get sorted really, really soon. Graham Smyth described him as a dream signing who would tick a huge amount of boxes for Leeds United, and it's hard to argue with any of that. The fee could be a slight obstacle in this situation, depending on what else they do in the window and depending on exits from the club as well. 35 million plus is a rumoured fee. It is only a rumoured fee. There's nothing confirmed around that. Trafford wants to go. City are said to not want to stand in his way as long as they get the valuation that they want. BBC's Adam Pope spoke on Don't Go to Bed Just Yet as well on this, said that Leeds United want a top-class goalkeeper and a top-class striker this summer. Getting Trafford in would definitely tick one of those boxes, and interesting to see what they do from a top-class striker perspective. So it is an interesting one. Does look like the most credible one, but very likely to have competition and might not be that easy. Again, goes back to that ambitious tag. Lucas Perry's situation will likely need to get sorted out as well. A lot of talk about him heading off to Torino, but won't go anywhere until Leeds United get a goalkeeper. Again, local media haven't really covered that one, so might not be a huge amount in that, but we'll have to wait and see where it goes. Next one to talk about is another goalkeeper that popped up yesterday. It's Carl Rushworth. Now, Carl was initially linked with Leeds, I believe back in March, when we also were linked with Saul Bryn at that moment in time. Leeds were looking for a bigger, more imposing goalkeeper than Rushworth, but he's not a small lad. He is 6'3" in height, and I'm 6'4", and he's a big boy. Still, 25 years of age, right-footed goalkeeper, currently at Brighton and Hove Albion. Last season spent the whole year on loan at Coventry City and has been tipped to be a future England number one. The story on this one, this is a really mixed bag in terms of what's being said and who is saying it. The first one comes from Graham Bailey at Team Talk. Now, Team Talk can be miss and hit. Graham Bailey can be hit and miss. That makes sense. That order. Graham Bailey has reported that Leeds United and Newcastle have both been offered Karl Rushworth by intermediaries because Rushworth could be leaving Brighton this summer. Brighton are going to allow a permanent exit as Rushworth is seen as backup to Verbruggen. Coventry, for their part in this, are said to be firmly interested in having him back this season in the Premier League after his really strong loan last season, and he was a major part in getting Frank Lampard's side promoted to the Premier League. It wouldn't be accurate to say that Leeds and Newcastle are in for Karl Rushworth because of the wording in this. It's basically a case that they've been approached and asked would they be interested in Karl Rushworth because Leeds are looking for a goalkeeper, and possibly so are Newcastle. It's not the other way around. Leeds haven't approached them to find out, well, is he available? What would he cost? Is the player interested in the move? Come the other way. Other reports on the Coventry side of this believe that they are still the favourites to land Karl Rushworth this summer. Their first bid of £20 million was rejected. They're expected to go again, which feels kind of a bit of a dangerous territory for Coventry City. Spending £20 million, which would be a huge chunk of their budget given their financial situation over the last couple of years, for a player they already had on their books last season. So not exactly strengthening their squad, but getting a goalkeeper in of a good quality would be a huge benefit for them for this season. And likely Frank Lampard would want the minimum the same squad he had last season. But that's the issue, I suppose, with having loan players in the Championship. If you get promoted and you want to keep them, you got to spend money on them, and that money stops you signing a player somewhere else. Graham Bailey, as I say, hit and miss on things. Team Talk source on this isn't great. And again, the fact that Leeds have been asked they want the goalkeeper rather than Leeds approaching Brighton to see if he is available is interesting language. But based on the noise around James Trafford, it feels that if Leeds are interested in Rushworth, he's possibly on a short list, maybe a second choice, third choice with Suzuki should they not get James Trafford, and assuming somebody else doesn't nip in and get Rushworth in the first place. So an interesting one, but that's as far as that one goes for now. Let's talk about Julian Brandt. This one's got a whole hell of a lot of interest over the last couple of hours on this one. 30 years of age, 6'1", still another big boy. Right-footed, natural number 10, 57 goals and 70 assists in 307 appearances for Borussia Dortmund. The story on this one, so two of the most reliable sources when it comes to transfers in and around Leeds, Beren and Graham Smyth, have both confirmed positive talks between Leeds United and his representatives. Both confirmed on X that Brandt's father and agent Jurgen Brandt met with Leeds United at Thorp Arch yesterday for discussions around a move. Now, Brandt's father has also held talks with Real Betis, Juventus and Roma at this point over the last couple of weeks. They're all believed to have moved in different directions, or at least at the moment stepped back from this one. But Beren added a very important caveat in his piece on this, and very rightfully so. He said, this doesn't necessarily mean Julian Brandt to Leeds is nailed on. It's a discussion. They still have to thrash out whether he wants to come, whether he believes in what Leeds are putting in front of him in terms of a project, and whether he sees the Premier League as something he wants to do. The reports during the week also said that his most likely destination was the Premier League because lots of Premier League clubs were said to be interested in him. But no Premier League clubs have been named except Leeds at this moment in time. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean they're not interested in it. This is the strongest link that we've had to Julian Brandt so far over the last couple of months. Leeds are believed to be pushing really hard to try and get this one over the line. Anton Stach is following him on Instagram, is interacting with his posts, so maybe there's something in that. The German connection might likely help here. Daniel Farke and Anton Stach might be able to help Leeds get this one over the line. But if Leeds can do this one, and I genuinely believe this would be a hell of a signing for Leeds this summer. I know some people have been a bit down on his age, 30 years of age, but let's not forget modern footballers play for a lot longer. We only signed Pablo Hernandez at 32. James Milner played till he was 40. So if he's looked after himself, which he appears to have done, and he was very good in the Bundesliga last season, so it's not like there's any kind of bias in this. If you want to apply any bias to this, recency bias should be applied to it. Look at last season, and very, very good. But as has always been said, and rightly said, and everyone will say, until he's in a Leeds United shirt, you can't necessarily believe anything is done until it's actually physically done. Or in Mahamovic's situation yesterday, unless he's in a t-shirt, which, by the way, isn't available to buy just yet. But yeah, a good day for his father to be at Thorp Arch yesterday. The fact that Leeds did sign Tarek Muharrimovic yesterday, maybe that adds to this. They're seeing Leeds bringing in quality players, but not casual discussions, actual negotiations. So a positive move, if nothing else. We'll see if Leeds can get this one over the line, but I think it will be a hell of a signing if they can get him across the line. Okay, let's talk about Pavel Sulc. And this piece feels slightly at odds to the rest of the stuff we've covered, is because this has just been recorded after we finished recording the rest of the video, because this story has just come out and we're keeping an eye on the local media to see if there's any credibility to this. But it's an interesting one. It's been ran in France by some fairly credible outlets, and this one relates to Pavel Sulc, the S-U-L-C pronounced Schultz. Right, anyway, 25 years of age, 5'10" in height, right-footed, number 10, another central attacking midfielder, Czech Republic or Czechia international, had an outstanding season for Lyon in League 1. He got 15 goals and 10 assists for them, one of the most productive attacking midfielders in the French top flight last year. Lyon's valuation on him was rumoured to be in and around 25 million euros, so maybe 19-ish million pounds. Again, that's just rough back of a cigarette packet calculations there without looking at conversion rates. The story on this one is, and where it's come from this morning, first thing is, it's come from Sébastien, Denis and Santi Auna at Footmercato, and they claim discussions between Leeds United and Lyon have already taken place for Schultz. There's no agreement said to be in place right now. They're just having a conversation. The price could be a sticking point, although it does feel like it's probably within Leeds' price point. Actual Foot and Gonas area, both credible Lyon-focused outlets, have both immediately corroborated this story this morning, and a Polish outfit a couple of days ago called Newsy.Sportu may have had the inside scoop on this one if it ends up being a true story. They've reported the Leeds were closely monitoring Schultz's situation and that Lyon were aware of interest from clubs in England in him. Now, as of time of recording, and I'm just keeping a look, nothing from Graham Smyth and nothing from Beren. We're likely to get the Leeds admire but no move has been made for the player, although will Leeds tell them that a second time after what happened with Muharamovic this time last week? So it is a week on, exactly a week on from that story first coming out. Credibility on this one's interesting. Isaac Johnson, in his piece in Leeds Live this morning, did say that Leeds were actively pursuing a number 10. Now, obviously, we think that that is Julian Brandt because of the conversations his father had yesterday. Now, Sulc does fit Leeds' profile, though, and what they want. He's a goal scorer. He's a creator of goals. Huge output. And Daniel Farke is looking for quality in that final third, and Schultz would definitely offer that to him. 25 million euro doesn't feel like a massive stretch for Leeds. When you, again, break into pounds, again, 19, 20, 21 million pounds thereabouts, roughly. Doesn't feel like a massive stretch. And maybe he is an alternative to Julian Brandt. Maybe they didn't get an answer they wanted on Julian Brandt, considering we've just recorded the Julian Brandt piece. We don't know. We don't know what's been said there. But if it's a case that Leeds haven't, I'm keep checking my phone. If it's the case that Leeds haven't got the answer they want, or maybe they're just lining up a second option in case they don't get Brandt and they want to move quickly on this, they might want some form of a quick definitive answer from Brandt, and maybe Pavel Sulc comes into the conversation. Denis and Auna will be relatively credible in terms of stories within France and within the league. They're very accurate on their stuff. I think they had the story around Charlie Creswell earlier this summer as well. So they seem to be on the money with some of their stuff. Whether that translates to transfers outside of France, I couldn't tell you. No confirmation locally, or at least at the time of recording. As I say, I'm still checking my phone as everyone is tagging me in this story right now. So it will be an interesting one to keep an eye on. But as it is right now, it's a story coming out of France. The Leeds United may be interested in a move for Czechia international and Lyon central attacking midfielder Pavel Sulc. So we'll see where that one goes. Now back to your regularly scheduled video. Next one to talk about then is John Stones, which was a bit of a surprise when this one came out. Not least because Andy Cousins dropped his name in the podcast a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, 32 years of age, 6'2" in height, right-footed, one of the most decorated defenders of his generation. 6 Premier League titles, 2 FA Cups, 2 league titles, Champions League, 80 England caps, and a partridge in a pear tree. John Stones is one of the best defenders of his generation. In the last couple of years, the body's starting to creak a little bit, but still a very interesting one to have a look at. The story on this one is BBC have a piece out and they say that Inter Milan and Juventus are both keen to bring John Stones to Serie A for the upcoming season, but Leeds United are keen to keep the Yorkshire-born defender in the Premier League. Obviously, he's born in Barnsley. They're trying to keep him at home. Now, Fabrizio Romano on X also said that Stones is very interested in a move to Serie A, specifically because he has a fondness for the city of Milan, and Inter Milan are being mentioned as a potential option. Now, the interesting part about this, again, comes down to the language that's being used. The reports from the Inter Milan media on this are saying that his agent is believed to have offered John Stones to Milan. That, again, would suggest that it's not necessarily Inter Milan making the move for him. His wages are interesting as well when we get to it. But it's also very interesting because, as I say, on our podcast a couple of weeks ago when we were looking at potential replacements for Pascal Struijk, obviously John Stones is a right-footed centre-back, but does play quite a lot at left centre-back, specifically when he plays for England as well. Andy Cousins said he is the player he would like to see Leeds bring in to replace Pascal Struijk. Now, obviously, Leeds have signed Muharrimovic yesterday, so they've got a left centre-back, but they would likely want rotational options in there. And John Stones would be a hell of an experienced player to bring in with a younger player like Muharrimovic as well. So it was Andy Cousins' opinion. It wasn't any inside track, although at the time I thought maybe Andy's telling us something he shouldn't be. The honest assessment on this is John Stones is a world-class centre-half. His body has been battered by injuries over the last couple of years. 14 starts in the Premier League last season. So if the Leeds medical team could work their magic on him, which they have with other players, it still would be a very strong signing. Personal preference is said to be to head to Milan or to Turin with Juventus or Inter Milan. But maybe the Yorkshire connection helps in this situation. On the Milan side, there are reports from the Inter Milan social accounts that follow the club that John Stones wants £6 million per year, which sounds like a lot of money. It does sound like a lot of money until you break it down to, I think it's 115 £115 a week or thereabouts, which at 32 is probably a lot, but given Muharrimovic and Wilson are both rumoured to be on over 90,000, all rumoured by the way, maybe it's not too much of a stretch. You do save money on a transfer fee, but maybe you can stretch in the wage as well. So an interesting one, would likely be a short enough term deal as well. Look, it's a good rotational option. It's a bit of quality that comes in there. It's experience in winning as well. We have a strong personality in a dressing room as well to have. It does seem unlikely, but you never know. Again, ambitious summer. But yeah, that's the information on it anyway. You can make up your mind what you think on that. Right, let's wrap up the rest of the noise that's floated around about a couple of stories that seem a little bit less likely to happen. Not a little bit less likely to happen. Very less likely to happen, but we'll give you the detail again. Right, the first one is Guillem Orestes, 21-year-old goalkeeper at Toulouse. He is 6'3" in height, and this comes from Team Talk, who claimed Leeds United made inquiries to Toulouse around Orestes. His contract runs until 2028. Rumoured transfer fee is around €18 million. So that's about 13-ish million pounds. Aston Villa, Napoli and Ipswich Town are all believed to also have interest. They're all connected to this. Ipswich are believed to be moving for Nick Pope, bringing him home to his hometown. So that looks like they're probably off the list. This one very much feels like names being attached to a Team Talk article because it would appear in the hashtags for all of those different teams. Feels like it's been designed for clicks. If you want a credibility score on this, 4 or 5 out of 10, I'd say. But yeah, seems unlikely, especially if Leeds are looking at a Trafford or a Rushworth. Next one, Yunus Musa. Wasn't going to touch this one in any of the news during the week because there's rumour mill territory and then there's really rumour mill territory. And Yunus Musa falls very much into the very, very rumour mill territory. 23 years of age, 5'10" in height, midfielder, has been linked to Leeds by Milan News and Ekram Kanor. And that second name should be everything you need to know about this story. Obviously, he came through Arsenal as well. They're all saying that Leeds United have made inquiries about Yunus Musa. He has really struggled at AC Milan and at Atalanta. He made 20 appearances last season. If you go over and look at the Milan fan channels, Milan fan accounts on X, there are some horror clips doing the round of some of his performances last season. Amarin, since he's gone in, is believed to have said that he can leave the club and they're looking to move him on. West Ham are rumoured to be interested in the Championship. The Yorkshire Evening Post said a while ago that Leeds had monitored him, nothing more than that. This feels incredibly unlikely. The fact that Ekram Kanor's name is attached to this makes it even less unlikely. It takes it from a rumour to, this is a click one, isn't it? It really, really is a click one. And it feels like this has been pushed from an agent trying to drum up interest in a player who is likely to leave Milan and doesn't have a huge amount of options, at least right now. So I would, not give this one that much airtime, which is why we didn't cover it in the news. And the last one then is an interesting one, possibly one for the future, if there's anything in this at all. But it is an interesting one. And it's Mauro Furtado, 17 years of age, centre-back at Benfica, Portuguese youth international, described as one of the great promising future stars of Benfica. Now, he's yet to make a first-team appearance for Benfica. He's very much still in their under-23 side. Doing very, very well there, and very well to Portuguese youth sides as well. He won the Golden Ball for Portugal at under-17 level. His contract runs until 2027, so the end of the season, which does feel like something Leeds might have a little look at. Leeds United, Sassuolo and Marseille are all given some levels of interest in him. The source on this is Antonio Parotto, and he is of Sassuolo News.net. Genuine journalist, legitimate journalist, possibly one for the future. I don't think because of Brexit and Portugal being an EU nation, he can move to these 18, so that might bring him to 27 at the end of the season, and maybe Leeds look to bring him in. Leeds are bringing in players from other clubs right now. We'll get to that on Monday with the scholarships that have been given out by Leeds today and over this weekend. But yeah, he's an interesting one, potentially one for the future, but doesn't look like it's one for right now, and definitely not a first team option because he hasn't even played in the first team for Benfica just yet. So yeah, one to keep an eye on down the road, but possibly not for right now. But there you go, folks. There's your latest on Transfer Talk. Appreciate you all joining me. Let me know your thoughts on all of these signings, what you think Leeds will do, and what your thoughts are on Tarek Muharramovic are coming into Leeds. I think we're just going to be calling him Tarek or Tarek for the course of the week. Or we're just going to superimpose his name, by him saying his own name, over every time I have to say it. Anyway, bit of a giggle. We'll see how we get on. Folks, massive thanks for joining me. You can check out the live stream from last night, yesterday's news, and down below are the nominations for the Football Content Awards. Closed on the 5th of August. So if you do want to nominate us for that, you can. And if you're thinking about buying any of the Leeds United merch, official links are down below with our partnership with Leeds United and Fanatics. You can check them out if you want to. Outside that, have a cracking rest of your weekend. I'll talk to you soon. See you. Bye.